Where is your God?
He's on his throne
And where's the throne?
in heaven.
And where is the heaven?
Well, so in our slang, we may say the fourth dimension, but that's a place where the Most High is on his throne and Christ is on the right hand of his throne.
If black people were truly the real Israelites, and that would have meant that they would have had the mindset of God, right?
If you believe in magic.
What happened to them that they didn't see the Arabs coming to enslave them and bring them to America and other parts of the world? Why were they not smart enough to recognize that?
The same reason.
And this happened before they got to America. Why were they not smart enough to recognize if they were truly the original Israelites?
I'm going to tell you why. The same reason that they couldn't see that with the Arabs and the Africans to sell them is the same reason that they believe Joe Biden would be a better president than Donald Trump.
And what's that reason?
Because we're slow.
Blacks are slow?
Let me explain. Because you said we're black and slow again from the
biblical
biblical
narrative. I didn't say
narrative.
all y'all. I'm saying I'm black and slow. Y'all might be smart.
Well, you notice I always say we, right? Because I never like to take it off of me. It makes it more personal to say we're black and slow. I don't want us to be black and slow. So I don't want you to be black and slow no more. I want you to be smart.
Too late.
So from the biblical narrative, even when we came out of Egypt and we've gotten to the land of Israel, what did we do at that time? We started joining the other nations, disobeying the Most High. That's why when you asked your question about shouldn't we know, I said, yes, if you believe in magic. The Bible is not magic. When we're giving them law, statute, commandments, it's up to us to keep those commandments. But what do we always do? We're envious of the nations around us. So during the time of Africa, before we came over here in slavery, we began to be just like the Africans, just like the Arabs, and we left our true power. In the Israelite School UPK, we teach our people to come back to God, to come back to their true power, to leave an African God alone, to leave a white God alone. So now when an enemy comes, and I use the presidential election as an example, everybody looked at Trump like he was the greatest racist to ever exist. Like there was not a racist white guy before Trump came along. And then Biden come along, he's the great white hype. And nobody looks at the video where Biden says he loves black children because he's used to black roaches, like playing with roaches. And so he explains black children as roaches. But because he sounds slicker or better than Trump, because Trump doesn't sound as racist as Biden, they look at Biden as the way to be the answer. In Israelite School UPK, you'll recognize that both of them are devils. Both of them are deceivers.
Amazing.
There is no power that can be over us except the Most High. Christ is our king. So why would we vote for anybody to be president over us when God gave us Christ as king?
Why did the black men allow themselves over the last 70 years, because it wasn't that way, where it was that way in Africa, where the black women ruled over the black men, and that's why Africa, one of the reasons Africa fell apart, became weak. In the United States of America, why are the black men allowing the black women to rule over them?
That's happening today. There's a lot of things. I did a lecture called, 2 lectures I did. One was called The Miseducation of the Black Woman, and one was The Cure for the Hatred Between the Black Man and the Black Woman. What the white man did in his grave, if you go before, I remember an interview I saw and you talked about during Jim Crow, black people were better. That's correct, right, what you said?
They were moral, they are married. They didn't see white people as superior. They didn't feel that they were less or more than white people or anyone else. They did for themselves. They respected others. They loved their neighbors. They worked hard. They bought land. They did their thing. And the black woman was not over the black man. The order of God and Christ, Christ and man, man over woman and woman over children was in operation then. But when the civil rights movement started, which was a big mistake, that's when the black man turned his life over to the black woman.
I wouldn't say now, I actually agree with, I like what you said with the Jim Crow and before then. And it's not so much that we went to the white man. We recognized the white man was the enemy, but we also recognized that black people had their power when they were together. But I mean, when I say together, the black household was together. It was in order, under that same order that you said, God, Christ, man, woman, and child. Right. Under that, When you go before the civil rights, we were the #1 household in America, about to turn the tide over from even the white man of being married. And then, like you said, civil rights came, and civil rights was the detriment. And why was that? Because uppity rich black people became the sellouts, that you would say. And instead of fighting, so during that time of Jim Crow, you had HBCUs. I'm saying HBCUs on purpose because you don't find historical black colleges no more, because we wanted to be integrated. Brown versus Board of Education. We don't have black schools no more because we wanted to be integrated. We don't have our families together no more, because when the white man saw the threat of the black household, he did two things that black people gobbled up. The first thing he did was, for black men, was he gave cheap drugs to sell. You didn't have that drug dealing that you had back in the days before the civil rights movement. And then you had that. Then you had with the black woman, he gave that black woman what the serpent
But the
gave
white
that
man didn't do it. The black civil rights leader, Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, and all those so-called leaders of black people did that. You can't blame the white man for that. They were not leading the black people. The so-called civil rights leaders were doing it.
Well, you have to give fault. One thing what we do in ISUBK is tell the truth.
But it was the black people did it. Why are you blaming the white folks?
If you listen to what I said, I never took nothing away from them rich black, them uppity black folks. That's the first thing I said. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the white man came and manipulated that situation.
No, what happened was they went to Lyndon B. Johnson at the time, and they said to Lyndon B. Johnson, we need to have the blacks in the Democratic Party. And what we'll do is, if you give us the blacks, the civil rights leaders made an agreement. We'll sell you the blacks into the Democratic Party, and you get in welfare, but we want to be their leaders. And so the so-called black civil rights leader made a deal with the white Democratic Party that they would sell the blacks, but they didn't want blacks to think for themselves and do for themselves.
That's the manipulation. And not only that, you got to go before that. Because when you go back to Jim Crow, we established our own cities. How did them cities get destroyed? They didn't get destroyed by black people. You know, there's never been an air attack in America until Black Wall Street happened, when they flew aircrafts over the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, to drop grenades out of jealousy over a lie. So because they said some black person whistled at a white woman, they burned a whole entire town down. You got that city. You got the city in Detroit. You got the city Seneca Village where Central Park is at in New York. Black
Well, that's
city.
not why the Wall Street thing happened. The reason that happened was there were a couple black businessmen and white businessmen who disagreed on some type of a deal. And then
So
they start arguing, fighting with one another. And just like any terrorist attack upon America, it started and went into a riot. They didn't do it just because the blacks were black or that they had businesses.
So you're calling a black man a terrorist because he wants to keep his business?
I'm just saying the warfare between the white and the black broke out because they had disagreements.
But if you say America is so great and the white man is so great, why would we be labeled as terrorists?